Hey, what an event this was. Hey, Anna, how are you doing? Anna was joining us and I had to send her out on an emergency task. So thank you, Anna, for doing what you're doing and don't have a wreck. So we're going to go ahead and get cranking on this thing. We just got back from San Antonio, Texas. How was that?
That was a lot of fun.
So how did you like the Riverwalk?
I loved the Riverwalk. It was nearly not enough time. But yeah, I enjoyed myself.
Awesome. And for the ones of you that are in Philippines, Texas is probably as big as all of the Philippines, wouldn't you think? Anybody have any idea? It's not, Philippines is not very big, right?
Yes.
I think Texas, the state of Texas is the largest state we have other than I think Alaska. I think Alaska might be as big, but it's huge. So we went to one little spot in Texas, and I personally thought Texas was going to be really flat, but I was surprised they had a lot of rolling hills where we were at. Was that surprising to you?
No.
Okay, evidently she's more geographic than I am. But I didn't think it was going to be as pretty. It was lush and green.
It was nice.
And it was very, very hot.
Yeah.
The sun was out.
Let's
just, oh my goodness. I am totally sunburnt. I spent an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours without a shirt on, which my wife says was way too long for the general public anyway. Probably scarred a lot of little kids. Malika, how'd you like the conference?
It was great. I think other than the conference being so great, the other part of it is like meeting a lot of great people, mainly meeting the people that are doing better than you and being, sitting down with them, chatting with them, kind of get good nuggets, like what are they doing? How are they doing it? Was the main things. And I think it's main reason for me when I come to conferences is just like meeting those people.
One of the things one of the people said is don't compare your start to my finish.
That's right.
To that effect. I think very often we see everybody seems like they're doing better than me, but I know for a fact there were some people there that were, barely there, just scraped enough money to get there, roomed up with people, just barely made it. So there's always people that are, at different levels. And so, but you're right. It is motivational to really see.
Very much so.
That was your first event, right?
That was my first event.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so we have several other team members that are going to be watching this at different times. They're scattered out throughout the country. And that's what I would say to them is, would you tell them to come to an event?
Oh, absolutely. I think that was career changing for me. I mean, it really gave me the inspiration and tools to and gave me a lot to think about as far as where am I in my business, where do I want to be, and why aren't I utilizing these tools that are at my
right,
are my resources. And so I've been up since 4 a.m. I'm still on Texas time or what, but I got up and I started. The first thing I have chosen to do as part of this is to hire a coach. And so I was researching coaches first thing this morning. And I thought, well, if I want to be about it, I need to surround myself with, people that can continue to mentor me and give me some of those tools that I want to excel my business. So,
yeah. And when you go to a place like that, where there's thousands of people and consistently they tell you that production and coaching and production and prospecting and all of this, the message is the same from person to person to person to person. And that's what I really like about Brent's event. So, hey, we're going to get started here. I think everybody that's joined us has already joined us. We're going to go ahead and get started. And I got the great pleasure of meeting Malika. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yay. So I got the great pleasure of meeting Malika and spending a little bit of time with her and starting to hear her story. And what I wanted to do was for her to be able to share. As soon as I heard her story, I was like, we need to share this story with my team and with others. And so we're going to go ahead and start in. Malika, tell us a little about you, how you came into real estate, a little bit about your earlier life. Your story is an amazing story.
Sure. A little bit about me. I grew up in a very great family. I would say love and respect was the main foundation of my family. And my dad was also a business owner, but on the side, he was doing a lot of things related to real estate development, had rental properties, things like that. So since I was a little kid, I was always telling him that, hey, I want to build houses and I'm going to sell them. I was pretty much a different kid, I would say, compared to the other kids in my age. I didn't want to play with the kids in the family gatherings. I always wanted to hang out with my dad and, be involved in grown-up conversation and business and all that. And I was fortunate enough that my parents let me to be who I wanted to be. So fast forward, I looking at where I'm standing today, compared to all the other people that I was hoping that I would fit in, I'm in a completely different position. And I'm saying that in a very humble way, because it's okay if you feel like different. It's okay if you feel that the way you think and you see things are different than other people. Moved to here when I was 20 years old, and my first job was...
Hold on, was that yesterday?
It was exactly 7-ish years ago.
Wow.
I was 20 years old. I'm almost like 28 right now. August would be my birthday. So moved here, started my job at a jewelry store in a Galleria Mall, which is a big mall in Houston, Texas. And really quickly, I started getting my real estate license, but I needed, for money to come in gain as I'm getting my license. Got my license. Because I was a top salesperson in that store, they would put me on the closing schedule. So I would basically go to the mall all the evening shift, and I had the morning to focus on real estate. So I was like, okay, this is not really working. I mean, you can't really be part-time in real estate. Like, I was missing a lot of things. I couldn't focus. I didn't know how does it work, which, by the way, when I was getting my real estate license, everybody was laughing at me. They were like, nobody here who you want to sell a house to. And in my head, all I was thinking, I was like, I don't know, I'm going to figure it out. Like, whatever it takes, this is something that I want. This is something that I want so bad that anybody that was like giving me, opinions that, hey, you just need to get a job, you just need to do this, I would be like, no, I know what I want and I'm going to get it. Got my real estate license. And while I was working in the store, it was just not, working well. So I had to quit my job. That was kind of a mistake because I had no plan set. And I didn't know, like, you can join a team, you can be an assistant. I had no idea. Nobody was giving me any ideas. I didn't know what I was doing. And I was like, I'm just, magically probably going to sell a house. I don't know. Quit my job. Here or there, agents, I joined a very small brokerage that was more of a luxury brokerage, and agents in there were like doing deals for like, I don't know, 20 plus years. They've been in the business, and they were just giving here or there, like couple rental leases or things like that to me. I was doing open houses for them, $50 there, $100 there, just a little bit of a cash. And 2 months after, looking at my bank account, I was like, oh my God, I'm almost getting overdraft here. And I had to find a job again. Wasn't able to find a job. And I started doing Uber and Lyft. And I would take the morning trips, because those were the times that people would go to airport. So the longer the distance, the more money you were making. And I'm in Houston. We have a storm all the time. And one day it was around 4 a.m. and it was dark. It was storming, and I got in a car wreck. I was almost dead. I got in an accident. The firefighter and the cops and everybody were there, and they were asking me to call someone, come pick me up. I don't know anybody. I had this business card of this lady on my dashboard, and I called her. I was like, hey, sorry, I got her card when I was looking for jobs. And I called her. I was like, hey, I'm sorry, super awkward. I'm in a car. Can you come pick me up? So she come pick me up, drop me off at my apartment. And next day I woke up and I was like, okay, so my life is over, because technically I have no car and I have no money in my bank account. It was beginning of the month, so I've already paid the rent for that part, and I had about 25 days to figure out what am I going to do with my life. I knew nobody. And I was like, okay, well, change our perspective. Instead of being a victim here, let's figure out what are we going to do. I was like, okay, I don't have a car. I have legs. I can walk. Nobody walks in Houston. It's like 110 degrees. It was actually July. It was June, July. And
I remember that.
Yeah. I had two options. calling my parents and my family, be like, hey, I'm screwed. Like, can you help me? Or I figure out everything on my own. And I chose the second basically option, because I knew that I had to put myself in a uncomfortable situation in order to grow. So I started walking to a couple like grocery stores and trying to ask for a job. And I talked to possibly every single neighbor in my apartment. So one of my neighbors was able to, set up an interview with her corporate office, and I interviewed with them. They offered me a job for $47,000 a year, and I had 72 hours to accept that job. You're probably thinking that, well, you accepted the job, right? No, because I had a very difficult time to like accepting that, because I was praying and I was like, God, like, I cannot sit on my butt for 10 minutes. I'm like a go, go, go person. And I was like, you're telling me go to sit in a cubicle for like 9 to 5. Like, that's not where my story ends. I prayed so hard in that 3 days. It was on the third day. It was around noontime. And I had about 4 or 5 hours to respond to that email that I'm accepting this position. And I was back then, I was pretty much active on social media too. So I had, I was showing that I'm showing houses. Even if I was not showing houses, I was still showing activity because I wanted to have a good social media presence. And there was this guy that was following me. He was a real estate broker in California. To this day, we never met. And out of the blue, out of nowhere, that guy on that day messaged me that, hey, my best friend is a real estate broker in Houston, and he's looking to hire someone to, mentor, teach, and things like that, like an assistant. And he was like, would you be interested? And like, I don't remember how fast I responded to this message. And I was like, yes, I'm interested. What's the next step? Met with this guy. He hired me immediately. Got money coming in, was able to get a car. And I thought that my life is rainbow and sunshine right now. It wasn't. 2 months after, the guy comes and is like, hey, I don't think safe like mentoring or, teaching people is my thing. It's a lot of work and I can't do it. So he passed me along to another agent. Things didn't go well with that agent also. And I had to kind of like move on. And this was in Compass Real Estate. And I had to move on. So, I had to quit with the second agent, but we didn't have a sales manager. So I had to wait for Compass to hire a sales manager, because you can't just leave. Your license would be deactive. So they hired a sales manager. On her first day, she comes, introduces herself to the whole office. Everybody goes to their office. I go by her door and I'm like, hey, I know, sorry, like your first day, congratulations on your new position. This is the situation. I need to like find another position. And she's like, give me 24 hours. 24 hours later, she calls me in and she's like, hey, my best friend is an individual broker. Would you be willing to like meet with him? I meet with the guy, and my story started from there. Everything changed. I started as his assistant. He taught me the ABC of real estate, the ABC of even like how to write an email, everything. And after being his assistant, I kind of promoted more of his right hand. I was like doing everything. And then after that, on my third year, we became a team of 2. And we were doing so many volumes. And then until December 2022, which was almost 7-8 months ago, I moved in from being on a team to a solo agent. And I was 5 transactions away from being an icon. I got my first house back in May. And here I am today sharing my story. I met with Barry at Build. And I'm a strong believer that God will put you the right people on your path if you just don't give up. I can't tell you how many people I called in this city when I was looking for a job, and nobody wanted to take me. And everybody was just laughing. Is like, what are you talking about? First of all, you're dealing with the contracts. That is your second language. You have no experience, have a heavy accent. And nobody, wanted to hire me. Nobody wanted to give me an opportunity. And I promised myself, if someone, just one person, take my hand, hold my hand, and give me an opportunity, I will give that back when I get to, I will help people. I will give that back to people as much as I can do. So this is the main reason I told Barry, I was like, I want to talk on a stage one day, because I know my story is going to inspire a lot of people. And I want to show them that if I was able to make this without knowing nobody to today, that, you know, I'm just, if I want to get something done, it's just a phone call or a text message for me to get something done because of the resources that I have today. If I was able to make it, like anybody else can do it too. So come to these conferences with the right people.
That's awesome. Awesome. Rachel, do you have any questions for her as you go through that, as you hear her story?
So what were some things that helped you with your resilience? I mean, that takes so much resilience and so much strength and so much staying power to be true to yourself and to continue to pave that path and move forward, even when times were so dark. So what was it in your life or at that time that really stuck to your core and helped give you the strength to get through?
You know, I always, the way I look at everything, almost everything, is that there is always a way. And anybody that gives me like, no, you can't do this, or no, that's not gonna happen, I use that as a motivation. Is that I use whatever I have. If I'm sad, if I'm angry, if I'm rejected, I use that to motivate me to just push forward. And my vision was so clear, like I knew exactly what I wanted. And I was like, whoever gives me like, hey, no, or rejected me, I was like, no problem, on to the next. And I always was trying to stay respectful to the people who rejected me, because you will always, your paths always come across together, always. So it's so important to whoever rejects you, like always to stay respectful, because one day you're going to meet them. And I did. I always did. All the people that told me no, all the people that told me that you can't do it. Let me tell you this. Almost everything that I have to this day, I was told that I'm never going to have it. That's a completely true story. Everybody told me that I need to be a little bit more reasonable. You know, I need to think rational, like, I need to get a job, and, you know, comes with benefits, things like that. But I wanted this, like, it's all about how bad you want something. I wanted this so bad. And I knew that I deserve more in this life. You know, I just strive for more. You know, I always like looking for what's the next version of me look like. It's like an addiction that I have, you know.
Awesome. Where did you get that? So you grew up in Iran, right?
Yes.
So where did you get that picture of the life you wanted as a real estate agent? What made you know that a real estate agent was the life that you wanted? Where'd you get that picture from if you grew up in another country that does real estate completely different than us?
I mean, that's a good question. I would say my biggest inspiration, as far as like the drive that I have, I mean, real estate aside, my biggest inspiration for the drive was my dad. Because no matter what, this guy was always showing up. If he was sick, if he was like having a bad day, he would still go to the office and get shit done, you know, like all of it, you know. So that was my biggest drive. But like, as far as like real estate, I think, I don't know, like I would always love to go to sit in my dad's office and listen to his conversation, and everything about the properties and development and building and stuff was always like so inspiring for me, you know, because in my head, I was like, I am going to be part of something big for everybody, which is like people where they're going to choose where to live, you know, because people always needs a place to live, right? So you're part of something big in everybody's life. So that was, I think, one of the most inspiring things for me that I wanted to be part of.
Anna, did you have any question for her? I know you're driving.
Well, yeah, I was about to ask, but you very just mentioned it, that she was raised in Iran. So great people from Iran I'm seeing so far.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. All right. How about you guys, John, Ron, Clarine, any questions?
None for me.
All right.
It's just so inspiring.
Inspiring. Yes, that is true. John, I know you've got a question. You've always got a question.
I am impressed with her story, I guess. So yes, for a girl, the drive that she have is so amazing.
Yes. For a girl, the drive you have is so amazing. That is a great statement. Ron, anything from you?
Since she's already, I think, at the I don't think that she's at the peak of her career yet, but I
Oh
think
no.
it's already the glimpse of what is yet what will happen in the future. So my question would be, how do you plan to do the scaling of your business, since you have this opportunity around you and you have the best people that you'll be meeting in the future. So how do you plan to scale your business?
So this year I was highly focused on my production, and I got to a point that the guy that I was working with when I was on a team, one thing that he would always tell me is that stop wanting to do everything yourself. So I'm teaching that to myself because I want to do everything myself, and I'm like, I got this, I can do this, I can do this better, I can do this faster. So my next step is that in order to even double my business for 2024 is that at least put the foundation of hiring more people by the end of this year, so I can get things off of my table, off of my plate, and in order to kind of open up times to focus on more of a income generating things for myself. So that's my game plan in order to kind of go to the next level.
Well, I'll share with you offline what the secret has been for me to be able to do that. And you're looking at 3 of them right here. So they've done a lot for me. Well, what an inspiring story, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I heard you say is set an intention, be clear with your mission, believe in yourself, and do everything that you need to do to fulfill your goal.
Exactly. And also another thing that I want to add is that I'm sure you heard about this, is that your dream needs to make everybody laugh. It's very true. People need to be like, what? They're like, are you out of your mind? But that dream so big that, and have a clear vision and just follow the instructions.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, well, Malika, this was great. I really do appreciate it. What we do on these meetings is really just this. It's just about inspiring. Yeah. And we've got a couple more seconds here. I want to share a little bit about some of the stuff that we saw at the meeting. So I'm going to share screen. Can you let me share screen, Ron? Can you switch it over?
Okay.
Malika, thank you so much for coming to our meeting. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Your story was so much better even than when we heard it by the fireside. And really, that's what these meetings are for. If you guys get a chance to come, they're really amazing because these stories are just one little snapshot of 3 days of those type of opportunities to sit and hear somebody's story. And you don't have any connection with them in reality, and there's no reason that you'll ever hear the story unless you go to the event. And so I want to share this. Can everybody see Brent's big face up there?
Yes.
All right. So there's Brent. We're going to jump right into this real quick. I'm going to try to make this pretty quick. This is a gentleman named Curtis Johnson. And what he said basically when he joined, he was met by Brent, just like a lot of us was, and that he thought he had missed the big opportunity and that it was just too late when he got in. And he knew he was not Brent. And some people say, well, I'm not Barry, I'm just going to go along and do this. And he wasn't a great recruiter or even a good recruiter, but he could do one thing. He could follow the model and he could build and share. He could follow the model, share the plan with others, and then he would be able to build. But he would build a little slow. This is January 2018. And, he brought his team over. So he had a few agents to start with. And so, yeah, he did have a little bit of a leg up. But his goal was if he could just make $5,000 a month from rev share, and then $10,000 in year 2, and in year 3, maybe to 5, it'd be $15,000. And that was his goal with rev share. Malika, does that sound like a good goal for you?
Yes. It sure does.
And that would be great. I mean, because basically what happens is you've got a real estate company that's paying you to do real estate, which is great. How much are they paying you? $5,000 a month here, $10,000 here, $15,000 here. He thought, well, that'd be great. Instead of me paying the real estate company, I'll get them to pay me. And so that's good. Well, he did pretty good. In 66 months, he brought on 69 people. frontline agents, meaning that he attracted them directly. In our language, we would say they're on our front line, our first level. So he attracted them directly. So from 1998 to 2018, he did 20 agents. And that wasn't really that a lot. But now from 2018 to 2023, that has grown to over 9,000 agents. This is the biggest opportunity of our lifetime. You want to see what 9,000 agents looks like every month on the 22nd? Well, on the last 22nd, he got $433,000 dropped into his bank account. How's that for a monthly occurrence, right? I think I can handle that. What about you?
Yeah, I'd like that.
I think I'd like that too. All right. So that's just one little story that we shared with you, and the energy of being in a room with that many people. Next event coming up that we're pushing for is Cabo. And so if you want to come out to Cabo, I know I'm going to bring some sunscreen.
Okay.
I think I will have it packed in my bag. I'm not taking any chances that there's a run at the store or anything. So, all right, guys. And then after that, there's going to be another event. EXPCon is in Vegas.
Yeah, that sounds like that's going to be fabulous.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the one I'm putting on my calendar. That's going to be October, and I look forward to seeing you guys there, and bring someone with you. So we're going to stop share. Does anybody have any questions for me before we get off of here? Malika, we will see you in the future, and I am looking to hear great things for you and your expanded team. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you so much, Barry, for having me.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.